Today's topic of my talk is philosophical reasoning as a tool. In this talk, I'm going to concentrate on the nature of philosophical reasoning, basically, and also how it can be used as a tool. Now, the question is, what is philosophical reasoning? So, first we will discuss what is philosophical reasoning, and then we will also see how it can be used as a tool. The question, what is philosophical reasoning? I would concentrate on basically the kind of reasoning which we use in philosophy, but then the concept of philosophy itself has to be understood properly. So first we will look into the concept of philosophy, and also then the kind of fundamental questions which we raise in philosophy. For example, it's basically a pursuit of knowledge in any realm that we try to get answers. Questions such as what is real, what is true, what is good, what is right, what is knowledge, what is beauty, what is value, how do we know, what we ought to do, what we ought to be. Now, these are some of the questions and concerns of philosophy. And these are actually the concerns and questions in any pursuit of knowledge. That's exactly what I'm going to talk about. Now, if we look at the concept of philosophy, going back to the Greek and medieval times, the concept of philosophy was referring to any pursuit of knowledge or any intellectual pursuit. For example, if we look at a Greek tradition, then in fact, I would like to share my experience when I visited Athens, Greece in 2017. We had a World Congress of Philosophy, and we were told that in the University of Athens, it is hosted in the building which is called Philosophy. So we reached the campus, and to our great surprise, we found a School of Philosophy, a huge building comprising almost all the departments of the university. So I was surprised because, all the, say, for example, Department of Physics, Department of Chemistry, Department of Astrology, Department of Literature. So, which means that all humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, and any pursuit of knowledge is called as philosophy. And this was the concept, Greek concept of philosophy, and that continues even today in Athens. So although we have compartmentalized all the disciplines in different fields, but actually it's the philosophy which is the mother of all the sciences. Science, humanities, sciences, social sciences, natural sciences, etc. So coming back to the question, what is philosophy? We normally ask the questions, for example, is it a glass? Is it a mobile? Now here in this kind of question, I'm asking for an object, whether that object can be a glass, a mobile, these are objects. So is the object really an object, which means that it falls into the category of an object. Now, at the same time, also I'm asking a conceptual question, which is called glass, which is called mobile, the concept of glass, the concept of mobile. Now, I cannot call the laptop as mobile, not in a general sense, at least. So, in this way, whenever we talk about things, we have the distinction between the object and the concept. So the object is related with the empirical thing, which is in front of us, which is through the experience. At the same time, there's something which is involved always, which is conceptual, which is in each answer and each question. So the concept part is universal. For example, when I say, is it a mobile? Means that mobile is a concept, whether that concept applies on this particular mobile or not. So then I'm asking, is it a mobile? Means that this particular object called mobile, is it a kind of a part of the concept which is called mobile? Therefore, when I say yes, it is, then I'm accepting the universal category as well as the empirical existence of mobile, which is right in front of me. So the concept and object, these are two parts which are available in every discipline. And therefore, whatever questions we are asking, for example, even if I'm asking, what about truth of 2 plus 2 is equal to 4? Now, when I'm asking 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, is it true? Here, the concept of 2, the concept of 4, and the concept of addition. Now, these are the concepts which are used, where at the same time, 2 pen plus 2 pen is equal to 4 pen. Now, I can relate them at the empirical level. Therefore, on the one hand, we have object and concept. On the other hand, we also have universal aspect and also particular aspect. When I say universal aspects, the universal, I mean, using the same example, when I'm saying mobile, now the idea of mobile or the concept of mobile is universal. Plato talks about ideas are universal. So the idea of mobile is universal. At the same time, when I say this particular thing which is in front of me is a mobile, which means that this mobile is actually participating in the idea of mobile. Therefore, this is a particular aspect. So in almost every discipline, we have universal aspect and also the particular aspect. In this sense, this questioning, is it a mobile? This way of questioning is about the object and the concept. Now, when I ask, is it true knowledge or what is real? Now here too, when I ask, is this mobile real? I'm asking this question. Real, the concept of real is actually is a meta level question. Why? Because when I'm saying it is real in the front of which is in front of me, it's definitely it's empirically real because I can see this, and it has some kind of sensation, empirical aspect that I can sense it through the senses. I can understand this, the reality of this object. At the same time, when I'm saying yes, it is a mobile, I'm accepting the conceptual aspect in which it is participating. Therefore, it is not simply empirical, but also it has something other than empirical aspect where I'm accepting the existence of the concept, as I have said. So here the answer would be yes, it is a mobile. When I say that yes, it's a mobile, then the concept of mobile is participating in the I'm sorry, the object mobile is participating in the concept of mobile. Therefore, this, when I say it is real, means that, which means that this particular object of mobile, even if it gets destroyed, even if it is burnt, even if it is broken, the concept of mobile remains. So empiricists say that yes, this is real because I see it here and now. But at the same time, the idealist or the rationalist, they say that this, the mobile, the concept of mobile is real, and the concept parts, the idea, the mobile, which is in front of us, is participating in the idea of the idea of real. So the realm of ideas is real, whereas this particular mobile may not be real, and this is the position of the rationalist. Whereas for empiricists, this object mobile is real as I can see right now. Now, the problem is that if it is real, and if I accept the reality, then this, for example, when we dream, during the dream also, we, as long as we are dreaming, it is real. The moment we wake up, it becomes an illusion. So the question is, what is real? And therefore, the question of reality becomes a very fundamental question. And what is real? How do we understand real? And therefore, this branch of philosophy is called ontology. What is real? Dealing with ontology. In the same way, we also have metaphysical questions. How do we know that it's a mobile? How do I get the knowledge of that it's a mobile? Is it true knowledge? Is it false knowledge? How do we have illusion? What kind of belief? What is the validity of the belief? I believe it is a mobile. So anything which is related with knowledge, these are the questions which are dealing with in the field of epistemology. The same way we have the questions of value or ought to do, what I ought to do, what is right, what is good. Now these are the questions which are dealt within morality or ethics. We also have the question of values, for example, what is beauty? Now that's also part of philosophy, aesthetics. So these are some of the fundamental kind of questions which we raise in any discipline. So which means that this, by going into this, I would like to point out that philosophy consists in conceptual, critical analysis, reflection, and dialectics. Now, what does it mean? As I was saying, that the concept and object, making a distinction exactly in the same way. I mean, if I believe that what is justice, going back to Plato's Republic, where it's all dialogue, dealing with the question, what is justice? What is the ideal state? Who is a king and who can be considered as, what is the best political system? Now, these are the questions which are dealt in a dialogue which is called republic. So we have a lot of characteristics, for example, a lot of characters like Socrates, Thrasymachus, and other Heraclitus, etc., who are arguing, and someone is presenting their view, their belief, their understanding. The other person questions that, and then the whole dialogue goes on and on and on. Now, the basic presupposition is that rationality has to be preserved. So philosophical reasoning is an attempt to preserve rationality, which means that you're looking for we are looking for the critical sort of understanding and trying to find out the truth. But the question is there only one truth? Very often it is actually philosophical reasoning shows that there's no truth, but we are in the search of truth, and it's a kind of rational enterprise, which means that we are looking for a rational way of understanding. And as long as there's no contradiction, there's no inconsistency, we try to reach an agreement. But once the agreement is reached, does not stop the whole process, because whatever may be the conclusion, that again can be questioned. So it's a kind of process of questioning, perennial questioning, which goes on and on and on. So this questioning is actually a kind of dispute. Now, so which means that we start from the disputes and we try to look for undisputable, which is acceptable to everybody. But then through the dialogue, false beliefs are rejected and looking for truth. It's a kind of process of discovering the answers, which will not have many problems. So we are looking for an answer, but there are no final answers, but it's a kind of continuous process, a process of questioning one's own thought and also others' thought. So it is not simply a process of questioning of others' thought in a sense of dialogue, but that dialogue can take place in one's own thoughts also. So, I mean, very often the philosophical activity takes place in one's own thought itself. So reason is used for questioning, and reason and very often even the experiencer are taken into consideration. But then it's a kind of self-critical reflection, a rational inquiry into truth. And that is actually the process of reasoning. Having said that, very often people say that all truths can be discovered through experience. Now, these are the empiricists, but the other camp, who are rationalists, they deny this. And they say that all truths can be discovered through reason alone, and there's no need of experience. So now these two camps, one is called empiricist and another camp is called rationalist. Under empiricist, we find, which are also sort of using the scientific method, we find Locke, Berkeley, Hume, just to name a few medieval thinkers, and they claim that there's nothing in the intellect that was not already there in the experience. And if we experience, if the experience is substituted by reason, then we find that nothing is discovered without or all truths can be discovered by reason alone. Now that's the claim of rationalist. So one of the famous rationalists is Descartes, and his method is called Cartesian method, or method of doubt, or doubting method. Now, again, here is his attempt to look for certain knowledge that is certain. So how to discover the true knowledge, certain knowledge? And he starts doubting everything and comes to the conclusion that I'm doubting, this cannot be doubted. So that's a certain truth. And therefore, his famous dictum, I think, therefore I am, the cogito ergo sum, that is, I think, therefore I am. So if I deny this, that I think, if I deny this, then this will be contradiction. Why? Because I think presupposes that I am. So this is actually the certain knowledge according to Descartes, and anything which is doubted cannot be accepted as true knowledge. Now, this was the Cartesian method, the Cartesian method. Now, when we are dreaming or perceiving, which is sort of through experience, we are of the impression that all that is true, whatever we see, we perceive is true. That's the impression we get. For example, I'm giving the talk, I'm sitting on a chair, I'm under the fan, etc. So now this is true. Why? Because this is empirical true. I mean, I'm going through this experience. Therefore, it seems as if it's all true. But then this may not be true just after half an hour or after I finish my talk. So, which means that the relativity of the time, etc., has to be accepted if you accept this. So it's not really true in the absolute sense. And the same thing is about dreaming. When I'm dreaming, it's true that it's the reality of this dream is true during the dream. But the moment I awake, it becomes an illusion that it's not true. So therefore, I mean, Descartes was actually much more concerned about this doubting. And for him, the self-contradiction has to be avoided. So for Descartes too, the contradiction has to be avoided. When I'm doubting, when I'm doubting, my existence cannot be denied, cannot be doubted. Therefore, I'm certain that I'm doubting. Otherwise, I will fall into the self-contradiction. So this was the method which Descartes has actually initiated. And for him, the certain knowledge has to be without any contradiction. There's another method, critical method of Kant, which tells us that experience cannot give us certain knowledge on the one hand, and also that genuine knowledge has to come through science, because remember that was the scientific revolution going on. So science was the paradigm of knowledge, and therefore science can only give the genuine knowledge. Now, these two things cannot be accepted, and therefore Kant thought that there's a crisis of understanding. So Kant tried to solve this crisis by arguing that human beings could know things only as they appear. So whatever we know, that is only the knowledge as they appear and not as they are in themselves. So he talks about the limits of the human reason. So human reason can only know as the things appear, but human reason cannot know what the things are in themselves. And he talks of 12 categories of human understanding. There's another method which is called analytic method, which emphasizes on analysis, which actually analyzes the language of philosophy, which are used in philosophy, and a number of ways of understanding there through logical positivism, scientific empiricism, symbolic logic, and all are used as instrument of philosophy. Now, basically what is happening here is that arguments and counter arguments are presented. So whenever someone says that this is the true knowledge or this is a good action, the counter argument would be that no, it's not a good action. So then the question is, what is a good action? So then somebody proposes an answer, what is a good action? And then when it is said that it is an action, again the counter argument is given that it's not a good action. A good action should be such and such and such. And then the argument and counter argument, the whole process goes on and on. So then we are proceeding for better answers, and there are no final answers. And this was accepted at the end. But philosophy consists in process of discovery of real truth and goodness through reason and argument. So this process, philosophical reasoning, is a process. It's a method. It's a dialogical method. And that makes us realize that there's no truth, the truth with capital T. But there could be alternative truths. For example, a person who is actually, say, for example, is propagating for T1, the other person is propagating for T2. Even after sort of going through arguments and counter arguments in every alternative, we may still have to stop at some point and say that, okay, these are the alternative truths. So there's no one truth. That's the heart of the philosophy. Because, for example, whatever truth is given by physics, for example, whatever truth is given by astrology, for example, whatever truth is given by social sciences, social philosophy, political philosophy. Now, these are truths, different truths in different disciplines that could be, but there's no one truth, and that's the kind of position of philosophy. It also makes us realize or visualize others' point of view. For example, when I'm presenting my argument, the other person is presenting his or her argument. Now, the limitations of my argument and the limitations of others' argument are really the limitations of the arguments which we find are arguing for to a particular point. But then we might argue again, taking from the same point again. That's a very nice example that we can find in Plato's dialogue with different dialogues like Meno, Crito, Republic, and many others.